Hey y'all, and welcome back. Shooting the shit. We're in the Freight House kitchen. Gonna make some banana pudding for you today. It's gonna have a lot of whiskey in it. Let's get started. So we are gonna do bourbon banana pudding. This is my mom's recipe. I'm gonna do the recipe in two ways. I'm gonna give it to you both in that cup for the home cook, and then I'm gonna give it to you in grams. If you have a scale, I think that's the easiest way to do. So we're gonna start out. Got a cup and a third of sugar, or that's 275 grams. I've got 70 grams of cornstarch, or that's about a half a cup. And then just a nice big fat pinch of salt, and that's a pinch in both cups and grams. All right, so you're gonna mix this all together. One thing about cornstarch is you can't just add a bunch of liquid to it right away. You need to slowly add liquid to it, and that's gonna make sure you don't have any lumps. So I've got 5 cups of milk over here, or 1,200 grams, and I'm gonna start by just slowly adding a little bit. It's almost if you were making a slurry. And this is the same technique if you wanted to use cornstarch to thicken soups or something like that. You would just slowly add it. So see, I'm just slowly working the milk in there, and I wanna make sure I don't have any lumpies. And once I feel like all that cornstarch is dissolved, I'm gonna add the rest of it. Yum. All right, next we're gonna do 8 egg yolks. So no whites, just the yolks. And that yolk cooking gives it this really custardy, thick pudding consistency. So we're gonna start by adding those in. Trick to the stick blender, make sure it's always all the way in the liquid before you turn it on. All right. So this is gonna go, and if there were any little drops of cornstarch or anything, that kind of took care of it. So now we're gonna move this to the heat. So we've got fire under here. So while this starts to go, you're gonna wanna make sure you're constantly stirring it, because what's gonna happen is the egg yolks are all mixed in with everything, and the bottom of the pot is gonna be the first part that gets hot. So you're gonna end up with this cooked bottom and raw top if you don't keep everything stirred. So you wanna make sure you're constantly stirring it. So we're just slowly cooking this. You wanna make sure you have ready 2 ounces of butter, which is 60 grams. I've got about 2 teaspoons of vanilla paste and whiskey. Gotta have whiskey. So you wanna have all these done, because this cold butter right here is gonna stop the cooking whenever you add it to this pudding. So the pudding, you wanna gently cook. So we're gently cooking. It's strange because I grew up eating banana pudding, and I just thought that everywhere else in the world also ate piles of banana pudding, and then it was on every buffet and it was at every Thanksgiving dinner. But then I found out later on that's not true. The first recipe for banana pudding, I did some research. 1903 was in this book called the Kentucky Recipe Book. And they even have so we're down in Western Kentucky, they have a banana pudding festival in Clarksville, Tennessee every year. I've never been, but I've always wanted to go. We are doing the cold application. So we're making pudding, and then we're gonna build banana pudding. But some people do a baked and they serve it warm. I think it's weird. A lot of the national parks and state parks here in Kentucky do that. Do we even have national parks in Kentucky? I don't think so. So you can start to see kind of here on the bottom of my spatula, it's getting a little thick. That's because the bottom part of this is cooking. So once you start to see a little bit of that when you pull it up, you know that everything's getting warm. And if you stick your finger in there, if it's good and hot, you're getting close. Do you want to see a real skill right here? So you're stirring, take the whiskey glass with your left hand. You pour the whiskey while still stirring, and then you put this back, and then this is about, I don't know, maybe 1 ounce. Our recipe calls for 1 teaspoon, so I guess I'll have to drink it. This is a great, I think Old Grandad's one of the best cooking whiskeys. It has enough proof to stand up. It's sweet, it's spicy, there's vanilla, there's cherry. There's like all kinds of depth of flavor. I just think it's a really good one to cook with. So you can start to see again that we're getting lots more thickness. I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit because as you can see right now, this is starting to thicken up very quickly. So really start stirring it and working it now. If you can see how quickly that went from like liquid to like it's getting thick. As soon as you see a few big bubbles, turn that heat off. Ooh, it's like heaven. Milk and eggs and sugar. Oh, so now we're gonna add the cold butter and stir that until it's incorporated. You really want that butter to cool everything off and quit cooking. So I'm gonna stir the butter in, make sure it's really well incorporated. We're gonna add our vanilla bean paste, and you can see that the paste is really thick. You can see kind of in here, it's not just like liquid, but it has all of those good little flecks in it. And then whiskey. One for them, one for me. So we're gonna take it and strain it out. Then another trick is like if you're making this at home, get your plastic wrap out. And while this cools, put it down and actually like set it over this and let that sit on top. Because you know how, what is that show where they would eat like the pudding skins? Was that Seinfeld? We don't want any pudding skins. We just want, I'm pretty sure it was Seinfeld. They like had a whole thing where George was like making pudding skins. Now we are ready to make the best part of the banana pudding. Well, in my opinion, the vanilla wafer. So it's 5 tablespoons of butter, and you want this to be softened. 200 grams of sugar, which is also like 1 cup. So 1 cup or 200 grams. So incorporated some air into that mixture. It's gonna make it a little fluffier. You know, you wanna get the air in there. So we've got our creamed stuff. Next, we're going to add a whole egg. We're gonna crack it in here first. I always do this. So crack it in something first. Make sure you don't get any shell in it. Make sure it's not like a nasty, gross egg. Then add it. Professional Chef 101. 1/4 cup of milk, or about like 60, 65 grams. Got some vanilla and some whiskey, and you know what happens when we put whiskey in a recipe. A little for them, a little for me. So I did like 2 teaspoons of both the vanilla, and this time I didn't use the vanilla paste, I just used vanilla extract. I'm not really concerned with having those beautiful little flecks in there, I just want the flavor of the vanilla. So we're gonna mix this all together. So mix until everything is incorporated. I'm gonna add 240 grams of AP flour. I'm gonna add, and I don't know what that is in cups. I'll have to ask my mom. Hey Mom. Oh, she's on the phone. A big pinch of salt, 2 tablespoons of baking powder. And we just want those to be mixed together. So I'm just gonna, this is not on, I'm just using it to stir everything up. Then we're gonna add this, incorporate this like a little bit at a time. We want it to distribute well. So I'm gonna start with about 1/3 of the mixture. And I'm gonna slowly work it in. I'm not trying to develop a bunch of gluten in my cookies. I'm just trying to like incorporate everything. So that's what the first incorporation looks like. And remember to scrape down those sides, you guys. I'm gonna add about another 1/3 of it. Do it again. So that's next part. So you can see it's starting to get thicker. This is not gonna be a really thick batter. Do it again, nice and slow, just incorporating everything. Scrape down the sides. So when I was a little kid, you know, there's 3 children in my family. I have an older brother and a younger sister, but you can see there's only 2 mixers. 2 little, whatever you call them, mixer sticker things. So we would fight over them. Another quick trick, to get this extra off, turn it on, but don't have it sitting like inside the bowl. And what it's gonna do is gonna flick it all around the edges, but it empties these off. So now we've got cookie dough, vanilla wafer cookie dough. We also have, so it's imperative that you pull these off immediately and lick them. Yeah, they're delicious. That's how you check for the quality. So we're gonna put this in the fridge, let this cool off. It's gonna take a while for our banana pudding to get cold. It's not gonna take as long as this, but it'll be much easier to handle if it's cold. I'm just gonna load this up into a quart container. This cookie dough is nice and cold, so it doesn't have that like kind of runny consistency. It's really set up well. So what I like to do is just about the size of a, maybe as big around as a nickel, or maybe that's a quarter, I'm not sure. Not too big. You don't want huge vanilla wafers. I like little wafers so they get evenly distributed amongst everything. I'm just gonna start by pulling some of these out. And I think here we do like 6 or 7 vanilla wafers per banana pudding. I'm gonna take a little bit of oil, just put a drop or 2 of oil on my hands. Then I'm gonna take these cookies and roll them into a nice round ball. So instead of like getting one out and oiling your hands and then doing that, and you know, I've tried them a couple different ways, like with or without oil on my hands. And I think that the oil, like having a little bit of oil, or even if you want to use a little bit of like spray Pam stuff, I think it makes for like a really crispy cookie. Like the cookie just gets super crispy on the outside. So roll these out. That's it. So these go 350 degrees in our convection oven. We usually start to check them after about 6 or 7 minutes. Sometimes they take 8 or 9. It might be a little different in your oven. It's not a long time. So you're just gonna cook them. You want them to be like really nice and golden brown and dried out. So we're gonna throw these in the oven down here. Set a timer. Hey Suri, set a timer for 6 minutes. Okay, good. Suri's got it going, and we'll be right back. We're gonna let those bake. Our cookies are nice and cool, easy to handle. I'll put these over here. You can see they kind of fell just a tiny bit as they were cooling. That's no worries, that's what they're gonna do. So I'm gonna cut a little hole in here. Make sure you always get rid of this right away. We're gonna start with a little dot on the bottom. And I like to put that in there so that I know that bottom cookie is like getting some pudding. Like you don't want like, you know, you want both sides of the cookie to get some love. You don't want just like one side. It's no fun. Then we're gonna do some nice slices of banana, pretty unevenly. I meant to cut them evenly, but you know, I'll eat that one. Probably maybe 3 slices of banana. And these glasses, one of Austin's Austin, my husband, one of his aunts like went through and got rid of all of her old glassware, and she gave us all of these really cool crystal etched glasses. They're beautiful. We're gonna hit some more pudding in here. We're gonna go back with some wafers. There's really like no rhyme or reason to what's happening here. We're just, you know. But one thing I do try to do is fill in all the little crevices. Get underneath that guy right there. Do a couple more slices of banana, and you can just kind of stick those down in there. You do want to make sure both sides of the banana get covered, because if not, it'll start to oxidize and you'll get that brown banana. Oh yes. And we'll cover those little guys up. And then we're gonna add a nice big you could use a spoon, that would be significantly more efficient. Let's just do a little of this on top. Let's break this up. And at the restaurant, we serve it with caramelized bananas on top. If you got a blowtorch at home, go for it. If not, nobody will know. And that is banana pudding, Freight House style. Thanks, y'all. All right, tell me how I did.
Okay. Delicious. It's my turn to have another.
Oh, sorry.